tutorial will be on reports. To access reports, click Navigate, open your Perfect Care EHR folder, and select Reports. This will open your Reports tab. Within this tab, you will see two additional tabs, Reports and then Batch Reports. Under Reports, you have sub-tabs. And then within each sub-tab, you have report headers, and next to the headers you will see the plus sign that will expand to give you more report options. When you select your report options, you will then see advanced configurations to the right, and there will be a drop-down for advanced configurations that have already been set up within Perfect Care. You would select the advanced configuration that most applies to you. Advanced configurations are where the sort and select criteria have been set up to specific configurations. These configurations can be changed by selecting the criteria, bringing it to the bottom of your screen, and then changing the options. Or you can add to the criteria by clicking the criteria drop-down and selecting a criteria. To the right of that, you will see 4 boxes. These boxes are ascending, to put any of this information in ascending order. Total, which means it will total at the end of each of these criteria within the report. New page will cause the report to start a brand new page for this specific criteria. And frame will frame this criteria, so you can see it separately on this report. Sort criteria is how your report is going to sort. So it's going to show practice code, charge end date, and whatever additional criteria you add here is what it will sort on. Your select criteria is to give detailed information of what type of criteria you want to pull in the report. So you have under field name, you can select which criteria you want, such as charge end date. Your operation would be any operation between, equal to, greater than. You can select any operations and then enter in the value, either a date or one of the options that you see in the drop-down. Once you've added an additional criteria, you would just click Add. Or you can clear the criteria that you've started if you no longer want to use it. If you want to remove a criteria that is in this report, you can click it and hit Remove. And any criteria that you want to change, if you select it, change it, then you would just click Update. Once you have made changes to the criteria, and add it, you can then name the advanced configuration and save it so that it is available the next time you go to run this report. To save the report and add it to your advanced configurations, you would click Edit. You would give this report a name. You also need to enter a description, but it can also just be the report name. Description can be whatever you want it to be, but something has to be entered in this field. And then configuration is visible too. You can say all users, select a specific user, or select just your name, whomever you want to have access to this report. Then you would click Save as New. You will then see this new advanced configuration here called Name. And these are the configurations that I set this to. To create a batch report, here you see a batch called Kelly's Daily Reports. These are reports that are run on a daily basis that I have set up configurations for and saved in a batch. So anytime I need my end-of-day reports, I can either preview or print them right from here rather than setting up each individual configuration. To add a configuration to a report, you can select a configuration that already exists, do Add to Batch, select the batch that you want to add it to, or create a new batch and name it. And then click OK. Also, if you want to make any configuration changes to a report, you will need to first save that report, then add it to the batch. Otherwise, if you do not save the new configurations to a new advanced configuration, when you file it to a batch report, it will not have the changes you've made. So you have to configure it the way you want it, name it, and then once you see it here, then add it to the batch. From the batch reports, you're able to remove one report at a time. If there's a report that you no longer use, you would select the report and then hit Remove Report in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you want to completely remove a batch, you can remove an entire batch by dropping the batch down and selecting it and clicking Remove Batch. You can also start a new batch name here under Batch Report by clicking New. You can preview the reports. What this will do will bring up each report individually in a preview basis so that you can view them before you print. But once you preview them, you will have to print each of them individually. Or you can click Print and it will print all of them at one time. Here under Reports, you have a Daily tab, Lists, Financial, Managed Care, Clinical, Override, Appointment, and Custom Reports. Daily reports are to receive information on things that you do on a daily basis. The most common daily reports are a batch edit report, which will balance all of charges entered for the day. Deposit slip. This report will give you all information to balance your deposit that you're creating for the bank. It will show you your cash amount, your credit card amount, and your check amount. And then payment edit. This is all payments entered. Please note that on your charge edit report, along with payments, it will only show the payments that were entered to a charge that was entered that day. So any payments entered to charges for a previous day will not be on this report. You will need to run a payment edit report. The difference between a short report and a long report is how much information is going to be on that report. A short report is typically a one-line report with basic information about that charge, since we are here in the charge edit report header item. Long is going to give you more detailed information. This is usually about 2 lines per charge, and it will give you more information, such as modifiers and that type of thing. Along with diagnosis description, in addition to giving you the ICD-9 code, it will also give you the description of that ICD-9. And that's the same with short and long payments. Your What Changed report allows you to run a report to things that were made in the system. Anything that was edited, it'll let you know what user made the edit and what screen and for which patient. When you select a report to run, Again, you see your advanced configurations here. We're seeing current charges. That's going to give me everything for the month. And then you can see my charges today or yesterday, which is only charges entered by you, the user, how you are logged into Perfect Care. Today's charges by operator are going to give you all charges entered today, but it's going to divide it up by operator, which you see here in the sort criteria. Anytime you see charge enter date, and this is also a payment enter date option, and then you'll see charge end date and payment date. These items, when you're running a report by charge end date, what end date reflects is the date of service. So if you were entering charges for today and for yesterday, and you ran your report based on charge end date equal to today, the only charges you are going to see are those charges with a date of service today. But if you run the report as a charge enter date equal to today, then that report is going to show you all charges, no matter what the date of service is, that was entered today. And that is also the same with payment enter date and payment date. Anytime you run reports, if you run multiple reports, you want to make sure that you're running them the same if you're comparing the reports. So it's very important if you're doing a charge enter date and that report and you're comparing it to another report, that report is also ran the same way, or you may get different numbers. So as you'd like to add additional information, you select the field name. So I want to run a charge edit report today by all operators, and I want to see how many patients came in today with a diagnosis of diabetes. So I can do diagnosis 1 equals 2, or I could do contains, or I could do between if I wanted to do 250 all the way to 250.99. That way I get all of the diabetes, and add. And I can continue to add to this select criteria as I want to break that report down a little bit more. Now each report, no matter which tab, you will see different options in your select and sort criteria, but these options will never be the same. They're based on what type of information you can pull from that type of report. So you might see in select criteria for one report certain items that you will not see in the select criteria for another report. Once you've set up your select and sort criteria, at that point you can either preview or print your report. If you preview your report, you can then see your report, but you also have options of now printing it if you want to print it, or exporting the report. Exporting the report allows you to export it to different formats. So here you see PDF, but you can also export it to a CSV file, Excel spreadsheet. You have many options here, a Word document, a text document, different options that you can select based on how you want your other user to be able to open that report to view. Once you select how you want to export the report and click OK, you can then select where you want the report saved to, change the name save, and then you're able to send it as an email attachment or put it on a disk. Your list reports are going to be any items that you want to see in list format of items that are in Perfect Care. So if you want a list of all your insurance companies that you have stored in Perfect Care, you can run that type of report. And again, based on which criteria you select here will tell you what information that is available. So each of these items have different types of way to run reports within them, as I've shown you. Financial reports are the reports that you're going to want to use anytime you are trying to find or close month end or find reports to justify your month end close report. This is where you're going to balance out anything having to do with accounts receivable, aged insurance receivables, patient balances, that type of thing. So your financial reports are going to be the reports that are closest to your month end close. Your accounts receivable report, this is one of those reports that is going to give you a summary of all the information in the practice over a time frame. This report is usually part of a month-end batch when we originally set up your Perfect Care. And this one, there's different items you see, again, configurations, billing provider, that type of thing. And when you preview it, it's going to give you a summary of each month that has went through close. And this one I did by billing provider. So you see here, as of month-end close, how much charges were entered under this billing provider, payments, write-offs, did the AR go up or down, and what the AR was at closing of this period. Anytime you see a star on a report, as you see here, the star indicates that this information was entered in either in a charge screen or the payment screen without any billing provider being selected. So this star means that there were charges or payments entered into the system and a billing provider was not entered in relationship to that charge or payment. The aged accounts receivable, this again is a report that is typically in a month-end close. This report is going to show you your aged receivables, and I typically run this by insurance company, but there are many options. You can do it by category, or you can do it by the first day it was billed or the date of service. This report is a summary of everything that is open, who it's open from, so collections, credits in the system, patient balances, and then it'll list each insurance company with the in-house code next to it. This report total should be your total AR that is outstanding at this time. When viewing this report, if you make note of the in-house code, we'll look here at Medicare Part P Care, and we're wanting to see what charges for what patient is open in the 30 to 60 day column or over 90 days. The next report, age insurance receivables, would be a good report to break that report down a little bit more. And here I'm going to, in my select criteria, say insurance code equal to care, and click add and preview. So now I can see what that $220 outstanding from Medicare is for these two patients, the date of service, and information regarding those open charges. The aged patient receivables. This report is going to be all open balances due from patients. What is not going to show on this report is if a patient has not yet been billed, that patient will not show up on an aged patient receivable report. So if a patient's account becomes their responsibility, but that patient, you have not yet done batch billing, that patient has not received their first bill, it does not begin to age. Therefore, that will not be on the aged patient receivable. To get a true patient balance summary would be the patient balance summary report, either by the case responsible party, the patient, or the regular responsible party. The next set of reports are the managed care reports. These are the reports that are good if your provider is asking for detailed information, specific information, such as he wants to know how many patients that he saw with hypertension in a specific month to which he did an EKG. And each of these reports are going to show a little bit of different information. Your charge analysis is going to show you the procedures that were done and how many were done. So in my sort criteria right now, I only have practice code and procedure code showing. So if I say select criteria and I wanted to put in a charge end date for a specific data service or a specific diagnosis code or facility code, I could do that. But because in sort criteria I do not have account number selected, it's only going to show me how many times a specific or how many patients were diagnosed with hypertension in that time period. I would need to add account number, ascending, and total to actually see the patient's names that were diagnosed with hypertension in the time frame he's asking me for. When you do preview a charge analysis standard in managed care, you're going to get what the CPT code was, the description of it, how many times it was performed. If it's showing patient, it'll show specific how many times that patient was seen and that diagnosis was used, the charge amount, the payments, the write-off, the balance, the percentage that's still open and outstanding. If you do not want the financial information, you can run an encounter analysis, and that's going to give you just numbers for how many patients were seen. Now, this report, there is going to be a section called Encounters and a section called Unique Patient Counts. What this means, as you see here, patient Mark Barnes, he had 12 encounters with a unique patient count of 1. Unique patient count is always going to be 1. So if you were asking how many patients have I seen that are hypertensive, well, that number would be 29. The other question would be how many office visits have I seen where I've diagnosed hypertension? Well, that would be 84 because we've seen Mark 12 times. So that's the difference between encounters and unique patient count on a managed care analysis report. The clinical tab is to run reports on anything that you're recording in the clinical tab, any information. This tab is typically used for pediatric offices to record immunization records. It's also used by OBGYNs or obstetricians to track information regarding a patient's pregnancy. Anytime you are keeping track of that information in the clinical tab, you can run reports from the clinical tab here under reports to pull that information. Your override tab is to run reports on any type of override that's been set up in the system. So if you have override codes set up for a specific provider, if you're billing out an insurance, it needs to pull a certain NPI number or tax ID number, but if you're billing out another insurance, you would set up an override to pull a different number. So that's anytime you set up anything in any of these screens that have an override, you're able to run reports on what items have overrides set up on them. The next tab is the Appointment tab. The Appointment tab is to run reports having to do with any appointments that are scheduled in the system. The tabs that are subtabs that are used most of the time here are going to be appointment list. This is to get appointment lists based on appointments with different information on them. So here you see canceled appointment list. You want a list of everybody that's canceled. Your charge slip reconciliation report. This is a really good report for the staff that enters charges. What this does is it runs a report that pulls every patient that has an appointment on a specific day, and then it'll let you know what patients that had appointments that a charge was not entered. So this is a way to find out once you finish entering all your charges from your charge slips, did you miss any? If a patient is marked as a no-show in the appointment screen, then it will show that they no-showed, but any that have any patient that is on this list means you did not enter a charge against that appointment. So you want to check and see what happened. Did the patient cancel and somebody didn't remove them from the schedule, or did they leave without being seen, that type of thing. So it kind of is a check and balance to make sure all charges are getting entered. Your chart status is if you use our document management, you've probably seen in the patient registration screen there's a box where you can click that chart is complete. That means as you're becoming a paperless office and you've completely scanned in the patient's paper chart, you can check that box, and then you can run an appointment report to find out what charts have been scanned and what charts are still paper charts so that you know what you need to do when processing your records for the next day. Along with approvals, insurance, and ordering, those are both, they're long appointment reports that give this information. If you're a specialty office and most of your patients have to be seen and they need an authorization number, this report's a good one to run to make sure everybody coming in tomorrow has an approval on record. And as long as that's being recorded in the patient registration screen, then that will show on this report. Along with insurance and ordering, that report is going to show you the patient's insurance company that they have, an ordering doctor or referring doctor. Rescheduled required are any patients that you put on the reschedule later list. Short report is your appointment list short. This is the one that I see used most often, and it's just a list per provider, patients, when they will be coming in, their appointment date, reason why they're coming in. Short with approvals, also like long with approvals, will show you any referral authorization numbers if they have any authorization visits left. Short with balance is a report to run to find out what patients coming in tomorrow owe the practice money so that it can be collected while they're in the office. Short with open blocks is a appointment report that also, if there's a slot open, that you can handwrite in. It will actually show on this report to handwrite in an appointment as like a paper schedule after the fact. Confirmation reports, those are if you're using in the appointment system to mark if you confirmed an appointment or not. You can also run lists from here of what templates you have entered, what reason codes you have entered in schedules, and also an appointment report based on provider. The custom tab are for any custom reports that we have custom built for you. Anything we create for you in addition to the reports that are already there, you will find here under custom reports. That is the end to today's tutorial. Of course, if you have any question regarding reports, you can call customer service at our support line at 1-800-330-1906, or you can email customer support at questions with an S at the end, at ncgmedical.com. Thank you for your time.